Okay, so now we're going to learn about the ambiguous case with the law of signs. When you do know the side, and angle of a triangle, there can be no triangles made from those, one or two. And that's why it is called the ambiguous case. So if you're given two side lengths and then an angle, you need to use the law of signs to solve the triangle, and then you can also use this chart to find your possible cases. So this is when you're given side A, B, and angle A. That's what all of these represent. You can notice here that this is when the side length A is less than H, there's no triangle. When they're equal, there's one triangle. And if the height is less than A and A is less than B, there are two triangles. And then if A is greater than or equal to B, there is one triangle. That's if A is acute. Okay, so if angle A is not acute, then it's either right or obtuse. And in that case, if A is less than or equal to B, there's no triangle. And if A is greater than B, then there is one triangle. So what we have to do is determine the number of triangles. This says determine the number of triangular banners that can be formed using the given measurements, then solve the triangles. We're going to round to the nearest tenth. So the first thing I always do is draw the triangle. And I always start just like how these have A in the corner. I label them A, B, C. Oh, actually, I don't. I label them A, B, C like this. And again, that's because see how you have little b here? That means that capital B was over here. So I label them just so that they match the chart like that. So it tells me that B is 20. So this lowercase b is 20. Lowercase a is 50. And here's lowercase c. And then angle A is 28 degrees. Now, I also like to calculate the height sometimes so that I can use the chart. So if you are using the height, again, you're using SOHCAHTOA. So the sine of 28 degrees is equal to the opposite side over the hypotenuse. And then you could find H by just doing 20 times the sine of 28 degrees. This part isn't necessary to do for every single part, but it does help you decide when there will be two triangles versus one triangle. So my height for this is 9.4 and my A is 50. So is 50 less than the height? No. So it doesn't fit this case. Okay, and here I'll just write out. So is 50, is A less than H? Is 50 less than 9.4? No. Okay, are they equal? Okay, no, those are not equal. Is A 50 less than 20 and greater than 9.4? This part yes, but this part no. And then is A greater than or equal to B? 50 greater than or equal to 20? Yes. So that means that there is one triangle. Okay, and the only reason why I use this side is because angle A is acute. So remember, it's acute if the angle is less than 90. Also, if you have an obtuse angle, remember the other two have to be acute. So we can use the law of signs to solve the triangle. So you find your matching pair, which would be A and A. So the sine of 28 degrees over 50 would equal, and then now we can't just subtract from 180. We're going to have to find angle B by setting up the sine of B over 20. So remember, whenever you're trying to find an angle measure, you are going to be using the inverse. So if I cross multiplied, I'd have 20 times the sine of 28 degrees equals 50 times the sine of B. I would divide both sides by 50. And then to find the measure of angle B, I would have to do the sine inverse of 20 times the sine of 28 degrees over 50. So in your calculator, that looks like this. So you do the sine inverse, then you do 20 times the sine of 28 divided by 50, and the measure of angle B is approximately 10.8 degrees. Okay, and now that you have found that, you can find the measure of angle C. So you would just do 180 minus 10.8 minus 28 to get 141.2. That's the measure of angle C. So now you have all three angles, and you have side B and side A. The only thing left to find is side C. So to set that up, you again would use your pair, the sine of 28 over 50, and that would equal the sine of C, which we just said C was 141.2, and that is a rounded value, but that's the only thing we can use here. And now that we're finding C, that's a side length, we are not going to be using the inverse. So you only have to use the inverse when you are calculating an angle. So 50 times the sine of 141.2 divided by the sine of 28. So we're going to calculate that, and you should get 66.8. Okay, so that's one of the cases, and we're going to look at the other cases on the next page.